Second item on the agenda is approval of the agenda, unless somebody wants to add something to it, or Junior, you want to add anything more to the agenda?
Move to adjourn.
See to remind Council Brody cameras on?
No, I don't know, I have nothing to add.
Okay,
Not even kayaks?
Nope.
all those in favour signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carried. Anybody around the table has a conflict of interest to declare on any of the items? If not, we'll go on to the next item in its presentation. Le comité des aînés et aînés de la région d'Argyle. Paul D'Entremont. Tu peux, ton mic est on, si tu veux introduire le monde qui est avec toi.
Alors bonsoir, Monsieur le Préfet et les conseillers, conseillères. Alors avec moi, qui est ici, moi j'étais le coordonnateur du projet qu'on va présenter. Mais la présidente du comité des aînés de la région d'Argyle, Jean D'Entremont. Et ensuite, la plus jeune de notre comité. La plus jeune parce qu'elle est tout le temps là.
Oui.
Toujours présente. Flossie Jacquard de Wedgeport, qui représente les aînés de Wedgeport. Alors qu'ils sont là avec nous autres. Alors, ça, vous en rappellerez peut-être au mois de février, un an passé, qu'on est venu et qu'on a parlé d'un projet de communauté amie des aînés, Age-Friendly Communities. Vous avez entendu parler de ça parce que vous avez participé avec le ministère des aînés, Department of Seniors, à faire une étude, que vous aviez embauché une consultante qui va faire un travail et ainsi de suite. Ça fait que vous aviez déjà entendu parler de ça. Après ça, le comité des aînés de la région d'Argyle a fait une demande à Nouveaux Horizons Canada. Okay? Les Senior Citizens Program. New Horizons Program. A obtenu 25 000 pièces pour développer un programme ou une possibilité, un plan d'action pour le développement des communautés amies des aînés. Okay? Quand on a rencontré le ministère des aînés à Halifax, on savait qu'il y avait déjà une couple de municipalités et de petites villes qui étaient déjà dans le processus, et on nous disait, par exemple, que c'était Chester, probablement, qui était le plus avancé. Lorsqu'on a pris le projet et commencé, et qu'on a fait le lancement 2 mois passés, là, le 17 de mars, Valerie White, l'executive director du Nova Scotia Department of Seniors, était là, et elle a dit, vous êtes rendu plus loin que les autres maintenant, dans un développement d'un plan. Mais ce qu'on veut faire maintenant, c'est en souhaitant que ça va pouvoir continuer. Okay? Ça, c'est step 1. Okay? Alors, la présentation, vous allez voir, elle est dans les 2 langues. Okay? Je vais revenir après ça, pour ceux qui vous suivent la présentation. Ça qui est dans cette couleur-là, pour moi, j'appelle ça rust, là. Okay? C'est en français, puis tout ça qui est en noir, c'est en anglais. Et j'ai expliqué ça à Richard tantôt. Okay? Alors, Argyle, une communauté amie des aînés. Et on a choisi de mettre une communauté plutôt que des communautés, parce que c'est une municipalité et on veut tous travailler ensemble. Ça fait, on a dit c'est toute une communauté, peu importe où on habite et quelle langue on parle et d'où on vient. Okay? Alors, c'est une communauté amie des aînés. Elle est accueillante. C'est là où les aînés peuvent vivre en restant actifs, ont accès à une vie sociale et culturelle, et de même qu'aux programmes et services dont ils ont besoin. Ils se sentent en santé et en sécurité. Ils sont respectés, ils sont valorisés et peuvent même vieillir avec dignité, tout dans leur langue. Alors, ce qu'on a ici, qu'on vous présente, et je vous en ai mis une copie sur devant vous autres, c'est le rapport au complet. Ça, je vais faire ici, c'est un résumé. Si vous suivez ensuite, si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez poser au fur et à mesure. Okay? Alors, je vais répéter celui-là quand même. So, therefore, Argyle is an age-friendly community. This is what is required. It doesn't mean that it is not there yet. Okay? Because there are many aspects of the municipality that are age-friendly. Okay? So, therefore, the definition is that we chose to call this Argyle as one community versus a grouping of communities. because we're looking at this as one community versus a multitude of different villages here and there, regardless of the number of councillors. Okay? So Argyle is a friendly and welcoming community where seniors can lead an active life with access to social and cultural activities, as well as programs and services that they need, with health and security, respect, and a sense of self-worth, and an opportunity to age with dignity, all of this in their own language. Okay? Alors, le concept de communauté amie des aînés, ça date de 2005, avec l'Organisation mondiale de la santé, the World Health Organization, et qui ont défini ce que ça prenait pour faire une communauté amie des aînés. Alors, ça veut dire que les espaces extérieurs et les bâtisses, les bâtiments, sont accessibles. Que des personnes de tous les âges qui soient capables de marcher comme il faut ou bien à mobilité réduite peuvent se rendre sans problème. Le transport, okay, ça c'est un autre, c'est pas, vous avez fait un sondage et ainsi de suite. Le logement, puis ici quand on veut dire logement ou housing, on veut dire pas seulement rester dans sa maison, mais ça peut être des appartements de toutes sortes et des foyers. Okay? Ensuite, la participation sociale, c'est que les aînés sont impliqués dans la communauté. Le respect et l'inclusion sociale, la participation citoyenne et l'emploi, parce que, regardless of age, people can choose to work or to retire. Okay? Alors, regardless of age. Et ensuite, bien, la communication et les informations, que c'est disponible, que les gens se comprennent. Comme on a vu après-midi, j'ai vu en passant dans le village, que demain soir, il y a une invitation au centre de Punku des RCMP, invitant tout le monde, ça dit point qu'il faut être un certain âge, sur le Senior Safety Program. Alors, je n'ai pas été voir, encore, ça va être demain, mais ça, c'est un programme dans lequel vous participez avec l'embauche de Peggy Boudreau. Okay? Alors, il y a une présentation au public demain soir.
C'est fait avec la RCMP, c'est Police Week.
OK, c'est ça l'occasion, OK. Et après-midi, comme votre préfet le fait souvent, au récap, au café, il y a 2 ou 3 personnes qui en ont parlé. C'est parce qu'ils n'avaient pas vu que ça se passait. Okay? Alors, la communication, c'est quand même essentiel. Okay? Alors, en Nouvelle-Écosse, au Canada plutôt, ça commence en 2007. Parce que ça commence en 2005 au niveau international. En 2007, au niveau national, mais ce qui est arrivé, c'est que le Canada a parlé non seulement de villes, mais a parlé de villes et de villes, oui, et de, voyons, dans les provinces et territoires, de villes et de communautés éloignées. Okay? Si on peut prendre nos villages, on est éloigné des grands centres. Okay? Combien est-ce qu'il y a de monde de nos villages aujourd'hui qui ont eu besoin de conduire jusqu'à Halifax pour des rendez-vous de médecins ou d'autres affaires? Ben, c'est quand même 3h30 pour certaines personnes. Alors, c'est des communautés éloignées. Même si on a des services dans la région, on remarque qu'il faut aller plus loin. Okay? Alors, c'est en 2007 que la Nouvelle-Écosse a embarqué dans le projet, comme les autres provinces. Et puis ensuite, le regroupement des aînés, le RAN, a choisi plus tard de devenir le champion pour les communautés acadiennes de la province. Okay? Quand ils ont fait le projet, vous allez voir tantôt vous avez vu tantôt qu'on a parlé de 8 caractéristiques. Dans les communautés rurales de la Nouvelle-Écosse, le regroupement des aînés, on avait choisi 7. C'est pratiquement les mêmes qui sont regroupés. Alors qu'il y en a les 7 où ça s'est fait en 8, le résultat voulu, c'est le même. Okay? Alors on parle encore ici des services de soins et de santé, le logement et les infrastructures d'accueil, l'environnement social et le loisir, transport et déplacement, les revenus et le coût de la vie, la représentation et la contribution des aînés, ensuite l'information et l'éducation. Okay? C'est intéressant de voir que dans la région d'Argyle, notre population, les statistiques, selon le groupe d'âge, 50 ans et plus. Et en plus, sur le projet, on a choisi les aînés, voulant dire 50 ans et plus. Et je me rappelle, à un moment donné, une de vos employés qui a dit, qui était à une de nos réunions, puis qui arrivait presque à 50 ans, qui a dit, moi, j'aime point d'être appelée une aînée quand j'ai encore 2 enfants à l'école. Puis ensuite, je pense que cette année, elle a eu son 50, puis elle a dit, j'aime pas trop de le dire. Et c'est Ginette. Elle était toute contente. Elle a dit, j'ai 2 enfants à l'école, je ne veux pas être appelée une aînée. Le mot aîné ou senior fait peur à du monde, mais c'est mettre un âge. OK? Pour commencer, alors on dit les 50 ans et plus. Even Councillor Richard Donaldson decided at 55 to partially retire. And he's in his early 50s. OK, alors la population 50 ans et plus, et on regarde en 2011, la population totale, ça c'est la statistique de 2011, 8250, la population. On prévoit que de 50 à 64 ans, en 2030, non, je l'ai dit mal. Oui, en 2030, on prévoit. Je dis point bien?
2030 personnes.
Excusez, non. En 2011, la population totale est à 8 000. De 50 à 64, il y a 2030 personnes qui ont, ou 24 %, qui sont 50 à 64 ans. Okay? 65 ans et plus, c'est 19 % ou presque 20 %. Qui veut dire qu'on est déjà rendu dans cette municipalité avec presque 45 % de nos citoyens qui ont 50 ans et plus. Et ça va pas, la façon que ça va pas, ça va pas rajeunir, ça va continuer à augmenter. Okay? Alors, les objectifs du projet, ce qu'on a voulu faire ici, c'est de regrouper puis mobiliser les partenaires, qu'on va voir la liste plus tard. Tous les partenaires qui sont impliqués pour faire une communauté amie des aînés. On est venu vous rencontrer en février dernier, un an, quelques mois passés, pour obtenir votre appui que vous avez fait. Et votre conseil a été représenté, ou la municipalité a représenté au comité par le préfet, Aldric, par Ginette, responsable de récréation, la directrice des services du département des loisirs, et par Peggy Boudreau avec le programme de sécurité ou de programme de sécurité aux aînés. Okay? Alors qu'on a voulu, avec tout ce projet ici, quand on a commencé officiellement au mois de mars l'an passé, c'est quels sont les besoins puis les préoccupations des aînés. Okay? On va voir ça plus tard. Puis ensuite, de développer un plan que vous avez devant les yeux. Alors, comme vous avez vu, il est en français d'un côté, puis vous le faites un flip, et puis il est en anglais de l'autre côté. Okay? Alors, ce qu'on a voulu faire ici, et c'est un grand comité, je ne vais pas les nommer toutes, mais pour le comité, la représentation ou la formation du comité, quand on a commencé, okay, il y a le comité des aînés de la région d'Argyle, connu comme CARA, la municipalité, que je viens de dire, la chambre de commerce d'Argyle est à représenter, comme le Conseil acadien de Par-en-Bas, le Conseil des arts de Par-en-Bas, la Régie régionale de la santé, ou the District Health Authority, Southwest Nova District Health Authority, VON Tri-County, la GRC, les RCMP avec Peggy Boudreau, l'Université Sainte-Anne, le Vicariat, ou bien l'archidiocèse de Halifax-Yarmouth, et le Conseil de développement économique de la Nouvelle-Écosse, ainsi que le ministère des services communautaires. Alors, qui fait quand même un grand groupe et qui a, Aldric et M. le Préfet étaient présents presque à toutes les réunions et nous avions toujours une très bonne représentation des personnes. On se rencontrait une fois par mois. En tout, je crois qu'il y a eu comme 8 réunions quand même dans l'année et que ça a bien réussi. Et merci à tout ce monde-là d'avoir contribué. Alors, la définition que l'on a choisie, alors, Argyle, une communauté amie des aînés, ou bien Argyle, an age-friendly community, to define this municipality as an age-friendly community that encompasses all of its villages. Et ensuite, l'âge, comme j'ai dit, c'est 50 ans et plus. Et on a vu ça dans le sondage, lorsqu'on les a fait, que les 50 ans et plus, de plus en plus, il y en a, oui, de 50 ans et plus, là, qui prennent leur retraite et qui ne veulent pas rester à jouer aux cartes et à jouer à bingo. On a vu, ils nous ont dit, OK, on veut continuer à étudier. Pas étudier à temps plein, mais que ce soit des cours de comment faire du vin, comment faire de la nourriture, comment faire à manger, là, c'est différentes choses. Voyager, et ainsi de suite. Alors, on voit que les intérêts des 50 à 64 ne sont pas nécessairement les mêmes que les 70 et plus. Okay? Il y en a qui sont bien contents de se rencontrer une fois par semaine, jouer aux cartes, jouer à bingo, et c'était là, puis d'autres, c'est ça, ils veulent faire différent. Je me rappelle d'une des premières réunions que Flassé nous a dit, moi j'aime de marcher. Tout un groupe de Wedgeport qu'on veut marcher, mais il y a un problème. Les chiens sont point amarrés. Tu te rappelles? Les chiens sont point amarrés, ça fait son péché à beaucoup de personnes d'aller faire leur marche sur le trottoir. Alors, je ne sais pas si les chiens sont plus amarrés maintenant, mais non. OK. Alors, c'est ça la définition ou les définitions. Et ça, ici, ensuite, c'est quoi la mission du comité qui a voulu faire ça? C'est, en collaboration avec tous les partenaires, faire de cette municipalité une communauté amie des aînés. Alors, on souhaite que le comité va continuer à être impliqué et travailler avec tous ceux qui travailleront pour faire de mieux en mieux dans le développement de cette communauté. Et ce qui est voulu long terme, naturellement, ça se dit là encore, c'est que la municipalité du district d'Argyle est une communauté où les aînés sont respectés, valorisés et vivent pleinement en santé et en sécurité. Okay? Alors qu'on voit qu'il y a des progrès qui se font tout le temps du côté de la santé et de la sécurité et qu'on souhaite que ça continue. Okay? Ensuite, ici, la consommation, quels sont les thèmes abordés ou quels ont été les sujets les plus dominants? Alors ça, c'est là. Et on va voir des exemples à la page... Oups, je l'ai passé. Là, pour les différents thèmes qui étaient, vous en rappelez qu'on a parlé des 8 caractéristiques ou des 8 thèmes. Par exemple, les services et les soins de santé. Qu'est-ce qui est voulu comme objectif? Bien, c'est s'assurer, c'est de continuer à augmenter l'accès aux services de santé et de sécurité. Il y a 2 semaines, en tant que président du réseau Santé Nouvelle-Écosse, j'ai eu la chance de rencontrer le ministre Leo Glavine. Et puis, en parlant de qui était le réseau santé, on a fait mention de des projets comme celui-ci. Puis ensuite, en parlant des services de santé, il a dit, « Yes, you're from the district of Argyle, aren't you? Yes. Oh, you have something that many municipalities in Nova Scotia don't have. You have the incentive program, along with Clare. Il a parlé de Clare et Argyle. Il a pas parlé de Yarmouth. You have the incentive program for those people going to medical school. Hopefully, the province of Nova Scotia, the government, the present government, will take this over from the municipalities. Il n'a pas fait la promesse, il dit « hopefully ». That's what we're aiming. Alors, il veut dire que le leadership que dans ce bout ici de la province, il y a eu, que c'est connu, alors que les jeunes qui vont aux médecines, c'est 20 ou 20 000 par an, s'ils reviennent pour 5 ans et ainsi de suite. Alors, ce sont des initiatives nos jeunes qui s'en vont aux études en médecine et qui reviennent. Ils reviennent pas tous, mais on souhaite qu'ils reviennent travailler. Et on en a une qui va commencer à l'automne, Charel Dayon, qui finit son internat dans ce 2-year residency program à Moncton et qui sera en pratique à Pubnico au nouveau centre, si j'ai bien compris, à l'entour du mois de septembre-octobre, okay, qui vient de finir un de ces programmes-là. Okay. Et je comprends que, quoi, c'est Everett, Argyle Sound, Everett Spinney?
Goodwin.
Goodwin. Everett Goodwin nous disait que lui, il souhaite de pouvoir entrer dans un programme comme ça. Aujourd'hui, il dit pour pouvoir revenir dans la région, mais on ne sait jamais. Souvent, les jeunes, ils vont en médecine familiale, en médecine de famille, et pour la famille. Et une fois qu'ils sont là, ils décident de devenir des spécialistes, donc quelque chose d'autre. Okay? Comme arrivé, il y a un Leblanc de Yarmouth qui est en train de finir, et lui s'en va en spécialisation. Comme le fils à Yvon Surette de la Pointe-du-Sault. On fait la même chose. Joël. Joël. Oui, on fait la même chose. Il a été spécialisé. Mais ils reviennent de la région quand même, au service. Okay? Alors, des exemples comme ça, mais pas seulement des médecins, il y a les nurse practitioners et tout le monde qu'on peut éduquer et revenir travailler dans nos régions. Okay? Alors, dans votre programme, si vous pouvez ouvrir, je ne vais pas aller tout lire ceci, mais si vous allez à la page... Ça commence à la page... Le résumé, à la page 11. Okay? Page 11 et 12, on pages 11 and 12. You have the summary of all the themes that were discussed and suggested activities. Tandis qu'après ça, les pages suivantes, c'est en détail. Est-ce que c'est tout complet? Est-ce qu'il y aura recours à d'autres choses? La chance, c'est oui. Mais vous allez voir que quand on parle là-dedans, qu'on parle que ça soit de le domaine de la santé et qu'on parle on parle tantôt demain soir, okay, avec le programme de sécurité aux aînés, avec la GRC. Okay, ben, quand que Peggy Boudreau fait sa présentation, ça touche pas seulement la sécurité, ça touche aussi la santé, ça touche ça touche l'accès aux édifices, ça touche tous ces domaines ici, là, dans les 8 accès ou dans les 8 thématiques là-dedans. Alors, ce qu'on souhaite dans tout ceci, après ça, c'est que les communautés, pour continuer, c'est que ce que le comité des aînés de la région d'Argyle souhaite maintenant, c'est qu'on veut continuer à sensibiliser tous les partenaires sur les besoins des aînés, des aînés, hommes et femmes, dans la municipalité, et encourager et sensibiliser tous les partenaires à travailler ensemble et arrêter de ce qu'on dit de faire, souvent ça se fait encore, là, du turf protection. Okay? C'est qu'on travaille ensemble, que tout le monde se parle, et au lieu de perdre du temps, moi je vais faire ça, puis oh, je ne savais pas que toi tu le faisais, mais... et ainsi de suite. Je donne comme exemple. Puis ensuite, on souhaite inviter tous les intervenants qui ont été identifiés dans ce projet ici à travailler, à faire avancer notre municipalité pour qu'elle soit davantage une communauté amie des aînés. Et on veut inviter tout le public, 50 ans et plus, à s'engager là-dedans, par les différentes activités. Alors, conseiller d'Entremont, Calvin, avec ton système d'autobus qui revient, peut-être que les aînés vont vouloir t'embaucher puis aller sur des voyages d'une journée d'ici et là. Alors, c'est des petits groupes et d'autres, parfois, ça va prendre des plus grands autobus, et ainsi de suite. Alors, Monsieur le Préfet, voilà la présentation. Est-ce que vous avez des questions ou des commentaires?
Quelqu'un a des questions, des commentaires?
Oh, ici,
vous
tu
avez
veux
la
dire?
chance.
Oui. Et les remerciements, vous pouvez voir ceux qui étaient impliqués, qui ont participé à ça.
Ouais. OK. Sans point que une bonne présentation, n'a pas de questions. Il y aura la chance de lire le rapport.
Oui.
Et, merci bien.
Merci à vous autres.
Ton équipe, et on étudiera ça.
Oui. Et quand je dis qu'on venait faire une présentation, naturellement, les conseils, il y a une demande de quelque chose après. J'ai dit, on ne pense pas ici.
Pas ici, non. Non. OK. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
On peut continuer. We can keep going, I guess. Was dismantling. Adoption of minutes, the next item on the agenda. The 134th Annual Council Meeting of April the 8th.
So moved.
Second.
I noticed in there, it said we approved the officers for the municipality, and the list is added, but the list is not there in the minutes, so just a matter
Add
of...
them, yep. Behind it.
We have a motion to approve the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Next is the Committee of the Whole of April the 29th.
Slow moving.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Business arising from the minutes. I think there's only one item listed here, was a municipal administration building. There's nothing new, I guess, to report, except the staff has been working
Yep.
on it, and when we get more information, we'll
Add it to the agenda.
add it to
Yep.
the agenda. Do you have anything to add to that?
That's
or-
it.
No.
No,
Okay.
I'll talk more about In the CRO report.
Thank you. Warden's report, you've had a chance to read it. Any questions or comments, or? Never mind comments, you have questions. Councillors' report. Anybody, any of one of the, okay, Councillor Donaldson.
Just like to report that our community had their annual fundraiser for the Buptic Festival, and I was chosen to be the auctioneer, and I think that made the big difference because we raised $5,700 selling cakes and pies and bread. So,
Yeah,
it was, what's that?
Did you buy them all?
I bought some, but not $5,700 worth, but it
that's
was
good.
very successful, so we will outshine Yarmouth again this year in the fireworks.
Thank you.
That's all. All the things are on the track at McKeel.
Okay, Councillor Albright?
A lot of the things that I had on my report were similar to yours, but
Yeah.
I wanted to report on one of the committees that Jeanette reports on in the CAO's report. There's a policy that's being developed right now. I don't know how much you guys know about it. It's for healthy eating in recreational settings. So they're in the process right now. We went over the policy, and they're going to be presenting it to council. I think they're looking for a date in June, and they're going to do that in the form of, they're hoping to do it in the form of a meal, so that they can show you basically what a healthy meal would look like. We don't have a whole lot to worry about here in Argyle because a lot of the things that we do, we already take that into consideration. But for example, in Yarmouth, when they used to do their July 1st celebration, they had hot dogs. Hot dogs is now, like, there are categories of foods, and hot dogs are on like the lower category, and it's kind of like a no-no. But you are given a certain number of special events throughout the year that you can serve on the lower range of those categories. So that's coming up. I'm not too worried about it here. My concern was, when I first sat on that committee, was what about fundraising? Because a lot of teams fundraise using chocolate bars, and it's how to get quick money. But that's not as big of a concern as if we're putting on an event like the Fireman's Banquet, right? We have to make sure that a certain percentage of those foods are in the healthy range. Same with when we had the volunteer banquet, that kind of thing. And we were fine with the meal that we served. So that is coming up, just to kind of give you a heads up on that. Let me see. On the 17th of April, there was a recreation meeting. And I just wanted to mention that the Pubnico Health Club, there were a couple of people who came and made a presentation for the Pubnico Health Club. They're looking to relocate, and you probably all noticed in the grants to organizations, they asked for a big chunk of money. And they came and they justified the reasons why. I mean, they didn't expect to get all that money, but I just wanted to mention that the club has been in existence since the 80s. And they have continued membership, and it does fit into our strategic plan. So, you know, they knew they weren't going to get the 30 whatever thousand, but they came, they made a really good presentation, and we did end up giving some support there. Let me see, I'm almost done here. Went to my first UNSM in New Glasgow. Richard and I went. And it was the first one I'd been to, and it was very, very informative. One of the talks was on the farmers markets in Nova Scotia. Natalie Abbott-Smith gave a presentation, and it was nice because she highlighted a lot of our local people who provide services at our farmers markets, and she gave us a breakdown of how much money on average is spent in Argyle at the farmers market. It was really, really interesting. Talked about a lot of provincial initiatives, and Councillor Donaldson said, you know, we're lucky to have a CAO like Alain because he keeps us informed. Like, there was nothing there that was really brand new that we were shocked to hear. So that was good. Mayor Mood gave a presentation on getting your communities engaged in making things better, that it can't just fall on municipal councils. And I mean, she's a really good speaker. It was very, very well done. And the last, one of the presentations on the last day was on the service of 211. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this before, the 211. I had kind of heard it, but really didn't know what it was. And this is actually probably something we could all really use. It's for services. You know how we get the phone calls, I'm having some trouble struggling with this, or, you know, I don't have any food, can you direct me? This has all the services for our communities, and you basically, the way this works is you can call as a counselor yourself, or you can direct somebody to call, either call in or go online. And it's not just a matter of, here's a website, go check it out. They will guide the person through, this is where you need to go, and they will talk the whole way through, this is where you have to call, this is what you have to do to find the services that person will need. And it lists tons of services, and they said that it was launched February 11th, 2013, and there have been 50,000 people that have used it so far. So I thought it was actually really interesting. We're the second one in Canada to develop this system. Toronto was the first. And I found this was in the lobby here.
We had a presentation at a EMO meeting one
Okay.
night here.
They asked us, and I'm going to speak to Alain about it, if we could they have a link that you can add to your municipality's webpage with all the information. They said that would be good. And the very last thing, last night I attended a meeting with the Quinnan Fire Department to set their area rate. They've never had an area rate before, so it was, they're asking the constituents to pay 6 cents to purchase, they need a new truck, basically, and they need some repairs to their fire hall, and it was unanimously passed.
Okay, good.
Okay. And well-attended.
Is that right?
Very well
Oh, good.
attended. And that's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Albright. Councillor Surratt.
Okay, just a few things. I don't want to repeat some stuff that Alain had in his report, our CAO, but the municipal alcohol project, which is I've reported a few times, they finally had their week, which was last week, 3 days at Camp Isle, and it was well attended. They had speakers. They had one of the speakers was I don't know if you know who Greg Shea is. Well, his son Ryan.
Yeah.
That had an accident. It was his first time that he went and spoke about his accident and how you get back on your feet and you get rolling again. And I guess for his first time he did a good job. He got a little bit kind of nerved up a bit, but he caught back his speech and when he was going, and they said he did very well. But it was good, and what they're planning to do now on now they've done that 3-day training, they're going to make a video, and they're going to go. One of the directors is going to go with probably 15 students, a couple of cars, and go drive around in all the community of Yarmouth and have a look at what influenced them to drink. What could be an influence, could be a sign on Guy Surratt's house that says cold beer here or whatever. But go around and said what, for youth, not ourselves, for youth. What they find, they're going to go to restaurants, I won't name any places, to eat out and have a look at what's inside that place that might entice them to drink, and some of the violence that goes along with this drinking for the females, etc., which I've said before. We also had a meeting with the Tuscan Wastewater. It was like the kind of an annual meeting type of thing, and they're looking to set their rates $10 higher this year, coming from $205 to $215 a year, to try so they don't go in a deficit. That was basically the highlight of that. So it's not a huge increase. Except for the other thing maybe I'd like to bring up is that at Waste Check, we had a meeting at Waste Check yesterday, and we're trying to get the budget down to a respectable number, and a lot of give and take, and anyhow, it's a work in progress, and we're meeting again to try to cut it down by close to 50,000, so we'll see how that comes out. And maybe just a final thing, before I forget, that good old bridge down home, we're having a out on the old on June the 7th. It's a walk and organized by the Recreation Department, Municipality of Argyle, and it's like the last walk across for the people that want to come. And we're going to go to the club and maybe gain a few extra pounds that we've lost in the walk at the club down home after. So it's on the 7th at 11 o'clock in the morning.
July.
Yeah, in June, I'm sorry. Thank you.
7th of June.
7th of June, yes.
Okay.
Right on. Thank you, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Except the June.
Yes, Deputy.
Just wanted to report that last Wednesday, we had a meeting of the West Pimlico Sewer Committee, and we were holding the rate at $2.25 per equivalent unit, but that wasn't the hot item on the agenda. The hot item was I guess the smell that we're still having from the geotube bags, and now that it's warmed up and with a westerly or southwesterly wind, the local residents are, I guess in plain words, are smelling it. So anyway, the committee, we basically, made it our number one priority to try to get rid of the smell. We've got our Director of Public Works, John Sullivan, and Vaughn D'Entremont working on solutions. They will be visiting other places where they have these geotube bags, and if that doesn't work, we've even talked about getting a building to cover them with maybe carbon filters or something. But anyway, just wanted to let you guys know, if you are in West Pimlico and you do smell something, that might be one of them. There's another one too, which I will talk about later. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Burke.
Last Tuesday, we had a meeting at the Eastside Community Center. It was to discuss about the ball field. The land's owned by the municipality, but there used to be a ball field there. And we had a public meeting to see what the community wanted. It was attended. We didn't have as much as we hoped for, but we had some people attend. Anyway, we got something out of it. So Natalie and Jeanette are going to crunch some numbers and see what they can come up with, what we had decided at the meeting. And Debbie Smith, she came up and helped us. She's really good at doing meetings. And also with the Recreation Department, you can look on the website. There's going to be walks. I think in June, mostly all in June. There's dates set for each community, each village, I think on the trails, mostly on the trails that you can walk. They're going to be hosting some events. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Last night I attended the meeting in Como's Hill. The wind energy group came down, and it was just a nice presentation. They had some charts and maps, and showing location where the existing one is and where they are looking to put the second one and all that stuff. And it was not a big group there, but about 15, 20 people or something like that, and things went very well. Yeah. Okay, that's all the reports. We'll go on to the CAO's report. Do you have highlights or anything you want to?
I do.
Okay.
I do have some highlights. Obviously, if there are any questions, like I always say when Ella is in here, if you have any, you can either email them or I can take them here to ask him, and we'll get back to you. But I just wanted to touch on some of the points that he put in his report, because he did actually write it. The first is, obviously this is a busy time of the year for the municipality with summer employments beginning in the courthouse and archives and the recreation department, as well as the recreation departments and the courthouse's activities. So there's a big buzz starting in the municipal office and around the municipality. The other big part of this time of the year is the budget. So Alain and especially Marsha have been busy in their offices and around the municipality, attending meetings, especially for our regional committees, to try and get their budgets and help get their budgets set so that we can set ours. And obviously we'll be talking about that later, but that's been a big part lately. The REN is also ongoing and going very well. They've authorized work of consultants to try and help them out to gather information, especially around like a community profile and literature assessment. So what's out there already and what can we offer to try to put it all together to try and either encourage business, or when somebody comes here to ask what we have to offer, that we can show them this information. And the CEO recruitment is ongoing as well. So the firm that they've hired, they're working closely with them to try and recruit the CEO. And we're pleased to announce that all six municipal units have approved the agreement. I know, just make sure you guys were up to speed with that. The boundary review, the meetings were completed. The last one was last night in Wedgeport. So we had 4 public meetings in 4 different communities, and roughly around, I would say, 40 people attended in all 4 meetings. We did get a lot of good feedback, a lot of good information, especially around communities of interest, which I was specifically interested in. So we're going to put all of that information together, all the input and the comments and the suggestions that we got, and bring that to you hopefully at the next meeting, so in a couple weeks, just to make sure that we have all the information, I guess not all jumbled together, but all kind of in a clear way. And I think that's all I have.
Did you receive any comments or anything by email or
We didn't.
on boundary review?
We didn't receive any by email or any in that type of way, but we did receive reports that we got in the office. So either someone who made a presentation at a meeting that gave in a written report, or someone that handed us some information.
Okay.
So we got. Oops. Yeah, we would appreciate if you would just forward that, and then we could put that all together. Yeah, that would be great.
No.
So that's all I had to touch on the report, but if there's any questions that maybe I could answer, or I can write down for Alain.
Councillor Muse?
We had talked about having 2 sets of meetings. Is that still the plan? Are we going to go back to the public with the information on, and is it going to be what we're deciding or what the council is deciding to recommend? Is that what we're going to have?
It would depend on what council would recommend, just the fact that if, for example, if we would stay with 9 and there wouldn't be many changes, there wouldn't be a necessity, I guess, to go back to the public, because we've had feedback on that 9. But if we would go with the 7 route, there might be some major changes that would have to be made to the one that was already proposed, so we would go back to the public. So I guess the answer would be, it would depend what would be recommended by council.
So there may or may not be
Correct.
another set of meetings?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on, we'll move on to next item on the agenda, business and for decision. FCM board member expenses. As you've seen, hopefully, there's been a slight change. Instead of having 6 units, there's only 5 that are willing to participate. So it changes the amount a little bit, but I guess we probably want to find out if you still want to, if council still wants to be in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just wanted, this was brought at the last meeting with the, I guess, the idea that all 6 would be in it, but the 5 that have confirmed, it does change the funding model a little bit. So you can see that our funding changed by $429. So they just wanted to resend that to us to make sure that council will still
And of course, that's,
agree to that.
all that is at $12,000 a year. And
Correct.
we don't know if it'll cost that much, or
Correct.
that's
The budget,
a budget.
estimated budget.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what is council's wish on that? LeBlanc?
I personally still think it's a benefit, and the $400 shouldn't matter. I move that we proceed to support the budget of 1/5 of 12,000. I guess, is that correct?
That would be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Depend on
it's
the.
not a fifth, but.
No, depending on the
It's different
population.
percentages.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
right. Sorry.
They take the.
I know what you mean,
Yeah.
but, yeah, okay.
I was just trying to make the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah, the motion is good.
Yep.
Huh? Second? Any comments? I think there's some lights on. Donaldson,
All been taken care of.
all right. Muse?
When we discussed last time, we made a motion and we put an amount up to a certain amount. What
Correct.
does that do to this now? Because we all agreed that we would only pay up to, I can't remember but it was based on 6. So
Correct.
now, if we make another motion, how is that going to affect what we already had passed?
It said it was up to $2,250. So to
We're-
bring it up to that amount, you could rescind this motion that you made at last meeting. And
That we made it last.
Correct, and
But
make
we'd have
another-
to do something with that motion.
Correct.
Because we did pass a motion
Yeah.
that we would only pay up to a certain amount.
Up to 2,250. So you
Exactly.
rescind that one and then.
Based
you
on
would-
6.
Correct,
Yes.
yep.
Okay, Councillor Surratt?
Already taken care of.
Okay. So,
I guess I'm just trying to, I remember somewhat how the motion went, but do we have the motion from the other meeting?
I do.
And how exactly does it read? Okay.
It's, oh, sorry. It says
Yeah.
that council agrees to participate in supporting an elected official from the Ren region to sit as a director on the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Board up to the amount
Okay.
of
Yeah,
25,000,
I guess I was just thinking-
2,250.
I was just thinking that we might have had the, that, we
Divided by-
participate if everybody's in,
Oh, okay.
but I guess that wasn't in there, so that amount, yeah.
We had a discussion whether we were going to put, if everyone participated, or if we were going to put the
That's
amount.
right.
And I think we had
That's right.
chose the amount.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
so I guess the first thing we should do, if that's what we wish to do, is to rescind the other motion
Of April 29th, correct.
of April 29th.
Yeah.
And that you need,
A mover and a seconder.
yeah, but you need
Two-thirds.
approval, two-thirds?
Yeah.
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 Personally, I would simply add that bearing in mind that the information has changed, or that the conditions have changed, you add another 400, what did you say, $450?
429, yeah. And you could do it that way as
But
well.
the way you're doing it, if all of council is here, if all of council consents, I think that that's a safe way to do it. It's 6 is 1/2% of the other, you're gonna arrive at the same.
Correct.
So you want to change, you want to add to your motion that we add the 420,
Correct.
whatever? Okay, and you all right with that? Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. What am I missing here?
Old Pound Road.
Well, you know what? I don't know what happened here, but I'm in the wrong. There, okay, got it. Playing with this and I ended up with the wrong, with the wrong agenda. A past agenda. The Old Pound Road. Councillor, Deputy Warden, you're the one that asked you.
Thank you, Warden d'Entremont. Again, another smelly situation in my district. Happens that the old pound on Pond Road. Pond Road is the road that's in between, I guess to explain it, it goes to the western, it's in between the ball field in Lower West and the co-op. Okay, there's a road that goes down there. There used to be an old lobster pound. Hasn't been active since I remember, so it's probably over 40 years. And what has happened in the past is seaweed has been pushed in by the ocean, and what seaweed does, it rots and it decays and it smells, and this has been going on for a long time. This spring, and we haven't had much warm weather, but every time the sun comes out and it's low tide, the local residents have been smelling it. So the sewer plant and the old pound are merely, I don't know, a half a kilometer from each other. So there's always a little bit of confusion on which one smells or which one doesn't. Well, the two of them smell, and they do have a distinct smell, both, okay? So anyway, we've gone down this road before in the past with this council. Nothing has been resolved. The pound still smells. Anyway, the local residents have been getting a little bit upset with the odor, and I guess want to engage our public works to look into it. I called Department of Environment today. According to them, it's not their jurisdiction. I called DNR today. Well, it's not their jurisdiction. I tried to call Fisheries. I never got an answer yet, but I'm figuring they're going to say the same. So that's that's a problem that it's hard to pinpoint which agency or government department has jurisdiction. So that's probably the first thing we have to clear up and try to figure out or remedy the problem.
Who owns it?
That's a good question, and me and Eldrick were talking about it today, and I'm not even sure who owns
There's no
it.
pound there now, it's
Yeah,
just,
Who
yeah.
owns it?
Well, it's basically a waterway, you know, it's just a,
fisheries probably that's
Yeah.
involved.
It's not
Yeah.
an owner like Calvin Key
No.
or Eldrick owned it.
well, in the past, somebody owned it, but I don't know exactly how we would,
Or somebody pay taxes on it.
We could tell you who owns the land surrounding it.
Yeah.
I believe that it is sufficiently, the Lagard, the
Yeah.
shoreline has been sufficiently chewed away.
Yeah.
That it's probably within the
Yeah.
ordinary water line.
that's right,
Yeah.
yeah, high tide,
Probably, at this point in time, I would
Yes.
suggest probably federal.
yeah. High tide, the water comes in.
Yeah.
Low tide, the water goes out, and that's the problem we have. So anyway,
It can be like
dug out or?
excavator outlet, excavator.
They've tried, they've been working at it for years.
Yeah, they've put a causeway of rocks and, you know, and then left a way where the water can come in and out to circulate, but the seaweed still goes in. And then what the causeway has created is another spot where the seaweed can't flow back and forth, and it's forced the seaweed in another area where it is, again, rotting and decaying. And I think that's the area that's the smelly spot now. So anyway, so I just want to engage our Public Works. So you write that down, Chris, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
And find out, it's probably fisheries, but
I think if you put an excavator in there, started digging, you'd find out whose jurisdiction it was.
Councillor Muse?
I'm just wondering, what is the solution? What needs to be done in order to get rid of that?
We don't know.
In my estimation, I wish I could drop a bomb in there and just blow it up, but I don't think that's the answer.
As your legal counsel, I would discourage you from doing that.
Yeah.
It would help for a while.
Yeah,
Because it's like it's like a pond.
yeah.
Tidal pond.
Tidal
Yeah,
pond,
exactly.
and-
I remember
And we
working out there.
restricted the flow somewhat, so when there's no flow and seaweed gets to bunch up and then rot and
Then it
decay,
can't-
that's what
it can't
happens.
get out.
Yeah, if there was a way of circulating the water at all times, you know, at high tide, when the water's up, you don't smell it. But at low tide,
Oh, yeah.
that stuff has been percolating for years now, and, you know, so it's pretty nasty at times.
Good fertilizer.
Good fertilizer, I guess if we could
Might-
extract it.
Might have a business there.
Yeah,
Not on my property.
Anyway,
Okay, Charette?
Just, I guess, if we start looking around, I know when you pass by on the Mirrors Hill, when the tide comes over La Prée, the marsh, then when it goes off, it really stinks. And you go to the first or second marsh going down the Tittle Road, we have that same smell, but, you know, it is annoying, but I don't know if we can go and fix stuff like that. I think that's part of the, you know, the ecosystem, or whatever you want to call it. But having said that, it seems where the high water, if what Réal said, the high water had kind of chewed it up. It's probably they run a fisheries thing, you know. But I don't know if and I'm not trying to discourage you, but if our Public Works Department probably goes in there, if it's not our jurisdiction, are we tapping into something we shouldn't do? But there's nothing wrong with looking at it. I'm just suggesting we all have smells come from the marshes, you know? Yeah.
I guess I'm just looking for Public Works to basically find which, you know, who has jurisdiction. And as far as, you know, I understand what you mean by ecosystem, but this, to me, with the causeway that they put in for the first remedy, or the second, or the third, or the fourth remedy, has altered altered the area and you know, kind of caused this, you know, this problem now. So, you know, it's not really, it's kind of naturally occurring, but because of, you know, So, but anyway,
Okay, thank you. Move on to next item, is Art Gallery of Nova Scotia invitation. You've all had a chance to see that. The Department of Transportation, that's a letter for the Chemin des Jacquard, the response. And the Yarmouth Compost Facility, tipping fees increased June the 4th. That's for information only, I guess, or unless somebody has any comments or questions on those three items. Do we have, does anybody have a notice of motion for a future meeting? If not, we'll go on to a question period. Any questions from the gallery? No? Okay. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
We're adjourned.
There you go.